had a eugenics program during the 60s and 70s. So if my dad had been born in Alberta and if his parents had cared a little less, I wouldn't exist.
Yep. You just wouldn't have been born.
So that's a fun thought.
That is insane.
From there, I guess I'm going to have to pivot us back to Supernatural. That's awkward transition for me.
No, let's do it.
That's just the life of a Supernatural podcaster.
All right, let's talk about monsters again.
Yeah, let's
Fake
go
monsters, not real ones.
Highlight and low light. Katie, what was your favorite and your least favorite part of the episode?
My favorite was the Dean looking into this world that he could possibly be a father, and clearly how much it meant to him was a highlight. It was very sweet. My low light is I really wasn't a fan of like them making Ben objectify chicks all the time. Like
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a
Especially for an
lot.
8-year-old.
You know, and like I know like the whole point was to make it so it was undeniable that he was just like Dean.
Dean's got to have some other quality that he has that he could have emulated.
Right. That's what I was trying to think of. Like, what could he have done? Like, maybe they could have leaned into the car thing a little bit more. Maybe Ben could have seen the Impala and like flipped out over it. But like, they leaned really hard on like,
Into
look
the
at those
girls
chicks,
thing, which is a lot
and it was
for
just
an 8-year-old.
I think a couple comments could have been very cute and funny, because especially if you don't really if you think
Object
about
City
the fact
was
that
funny.
yeah, that was funny. But like, he's an 8-year-old, he doesn't quite understand what it means.
Right.
Him saying one or two things funny. If it's a part of his character, not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like kids repeat things they hear adults say all the time.
I headcanon that, first of all, for Lisa to be able to afford the house, for Ben to have this persona, let's say Lisa just came out of a breakup or a divorce or something. Like somebody who was just like Dean, who was like, look at that chick, Ben, you know.
Someone fostered this attitude, and I feel like it wasn't
Yeah,
Lisa.
Lisa's not teaching him that.
Yeah, she seems like she would never say stuff like that. And I actually like that headcanon. That's a good one.
JJ, how about you? Highlight and low light.
So, highlight again, same with Katie, it's Dean looking in from the outside, which is something we see throughout this show consistently. Dean, I will die on the hill that I think Dean wants to quit hunting, but just can't. He consistently looks in from the outside. And I like Lisa. I know a lot of people don't like her.
No, I like her.
Really
I like her.
Yeah, I'm per Lisa.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with her.
Lisa deserved better. I'm on Twitter. People don't like her.
It would be better if she had more going. Like, if the writers gave her more to do, but...
In this episode, I'm glad that she comes back. I'm really glad that she does come back. Justice for Lisa. But it's definitely Dean looking in and seeing that. And we get that very early on. Dean wants a different life. And we saw it in season 1. We see it in season 2. It's constant. He doesn't want to be here. And it's nice to see it. For Dean to actually be able to see it up until this point.
It's kind of theoretical.
Yeah. It's never been like there. And in this episode, it's there.
Yeah, that's fair.
She's inviting him to stay too, so it's halfway attainable.
Yeah, you could have it.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's in his grasp.
Right. And I guess the bittersweet that it's in his grasp, but in less than a year, it's not going to matter. So.
Yeah, he can't do it.
And of course, it's Dean. So Dean, he automatically, when he sees that, the first place he goes to is, I don't even deserve to have that for a year.
Oh,
right? Because
Yes,
Dean
you do.
is that dude.
He deserves
JJ
it.
has spoken.
But I don't think that Ben deserves it. Don't do that to Ben. Don't do that to the kid. If Lisa didn't have a kid, if she, wasn't a mom, absolutely he should have stayed. But don't do that to kids.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Especially such a young kid.
Yeah.
No.
He's drowning in chicks. He'll be okay.
Are you sure?
Meredith, how about you?
Again, I do like the introduction of Ben and like seeing him interact with Dean. That was very cute. My low light is the opening scene. Usually I really like the opening scenes, but like it's a low light because I just have a lot of emotions, and seeing this dad get rejected by his daughter and he's making toys for her and then he dies terribly. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. Jeremy, how about you?
The low light for me definitely would be just an inconsistent monster in this episode. Like, it just doesn't, if you try to make if you just try to make any kind of sense about it whatsoever, like, I got way more gratification, I guess, from listening to Meredith talk about like actual changeling stuff than I got like actual changeling stuff from this episode, which was just the telepathic pyrokinesis and the weird opening ghost thing. Just, it all seems so disconnected. It seemed to be created specifically to have like these moments of tension and scare but not actually tied together. And that's one thing that Supernatural is actually kind of good at in the early seasons, is having good like monsters based on lore and have have that be relatively consistent. So
yeah, Katie's mom like drowning her is way scarier than like the like pyrokinesis thing.
100% agreed. The highlight for me is it's weird because I haven't gone back to Supernatural since we finished the podcast, and just going back and seeing these young kids that are Dean and Sam, like it's so strange, and just seeing like Dean, like kind of similar to what other people have said, just want something better for himself, like just for even a half a second, want it, just maybe even believe that he deserves it and he can reach out and grasp it. It's really powerful, and like you kind of see him wrestle with that throughout season 3 as he knows this he has this looming fate. So yeah, I think that's a problem of mine, is just seeing Dean kind of go through some of that stuff. It's good work. It's good pathos.
Yeah. My Lily, I didn't think I had one, so I was like, I'm just gonna be nitpicky and like make it Sam being really awkward at Lisa's, like just going with them and not make it weird. But like, you know what? Now I'm mad about the monsters. I never really noticed in like the opening scene. Like I was like, oh yeah, this is like supposed to be ghosty, but I never really noticed that like it just like straight up did not make any sense. And now I'm annoyed about that. So thank you for ruining that for me.
What we're here for.
And my highlight is either Ben like running back at the park to hug Dean, or Dean like turning back and being like, I would have been proud to have been his dad, because I just think that's so nice.
So cute.
And then our next segment is, I think, maybe everyone's favorite segment. It's called CPS.
We're gonna be here a while.
I mean,
there was children in cages. Like, no matter what, there was children in cages. Like,
yeah, there were children in cages.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Overall, like, monster kids are not the parents' fault. Like, if you just don't expect your kid to get replaced with a monster. On the other hand, fake Katie got sidelined by that locked bathroom door, and like 6 kids got snatched out of bedroom windows. If we could just like lock the windows, please. That seemingly would have prevented everything.
Don't forget the kids that are just roaming the streets, right? Like they just had random kids on the streets just staring people down. Like nobody called anybody.
Yeah, where are those kids' parents?
Have you ever met a child? They are weird and creepy, and they will stare at you.
Oh, I know,
but it's fucking weird.
I don't know very much about gated communities, but they're doing some weird stuff in there.
And like Lisa like went to leave her house, and those 3 kids were sitting out there. The streetlights were on. It was dark. Why aren't their parents like, the streetlights came on? Like, come back inside.
I hear everyone's point, and my counterpoint is that CPS workers make like minimum wage or less, and subjecting them to those creepy ass kids is
not fair. Not fair.
Is rude.
They don't get paid enough for that. Yeah,
they don't get paid enough to have to like look at Katie and they're like, "Hi, I want some ice cream." And you're like, I'm out. I'm out.
I'm done.
I don't care what your parent did to you. Wait, no, just like let's lock some windows. Like, if 6 kids got kidnapped out of some windows, like, let's just lock those, please, and thank you.
Every time I think about like creepy children, I'm always thinking of the empty child from Doctor Who. It's like this little kid wearing like a gas mask because it's in World War II, and he just walks around going, "Mommy."
Yeah.
Are you my mommy?
Yes, exactly. Please let me in. I'm scared of the bomb.
Even monsters, whatever. Children were going missing and nobody called the cops. Like, nobody did nothing. CPS should be calling the parents because their kids went missing, and they were just like, oh.
Did they know their kids were missing? I missed something.
No, they just thought they were weird.
No, they did.
Their kids are being replaced.
But like, even still, like nobody did anything. Nobody did anything.
No.
Now, in the beginning, when Katie's like, I don't ever want to go back to Daddy's again.
Oh yeah, her
mom should have definitely investigated that one.
For that. Like,
yeah, like looking back, it looks like, the changeling Katie was just like, I need to be with Mom. I'm going to convince Mom that I have to stay here all the time. But like, Katie's mom didn't know that.
Someone who's like taken a couple courses on like forensically interviewing children, someone should have been called to investigate Dad after that conversation between Katie and her mom, because that was all kinds of concerning.
Yeah.
It's like they took a script of like what a like sexually assaulted child would say, and like they just like copy and pasted it into the Supernatural script. Like, it's very disturbing. But
it's Sarah Gamble that wrote this episode.
Yeah, it's Sarah Gamble.
Okay, there we go. There's your answer.
Our next segment is a new segment this season. It's called The Firing Squad. It's people who did not perform their job duties: police, security guards, public servants, customer service, retail, etc. And I think in this episode, like a journalist or an editor I said this when we got to this part in the episode, but like 5 people died in freak accidents in one neighborhood and only the 5th one made the paper. 0 mention of the other accidents. Like, that's just worth mentioning. Like, in the story of the 5th guy, not individually. Something was up in that neighborhood, and Sam and Dean would have showed up like 5 people sooner.
The changeling realtor was like, no. Actually, it was before the realtor became a changeling. She's like, no. We can't have bad advertising for our neighborhood.
Actually, I can see that, which is a problem.
They would have buried the stories.
Either way, like, Dean was just looking for an excuse to come to Cicero, Indiana, so, like, he would have been here on the first one. It's just that the first guy actually ended up being the 5th guy, and that was a problem. If they'd reported the first guy, Dean Winchester would have been there, like, way earlier, and, like, Katie's dad probably wouldn't have died.
I can imagine them, like, if the first guy fell off a ladder or something, whatever, it makes, like a small article in the paper, you're tragically losing this man, but then it keeps happening.
Yeah, then, like, someone drowned, there's a jacuzzi, and then, like, something else happened. Like, we had to get all the way to Power Soft before someone was like, this is something worth reporting.
This is not a big community. How much of your population did you just lose?
Yeah, it's a gated community that, like, strangers can't, like, come into, even though Dean apparently just drives right fucking in, like, gets all the way to Lisa's door, which defeats the purpose of a gated community, but okay, whatever.
He just batted his eyelashes at whoever was manning the gate.
It would work
Clearly,
for me.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, can't say I wouldn't want it. But yeah, our next segment is mental health check. I'm not a psychologist. This segment is based purely on my own opinions, and a weekly reminder if you're struggling with anything at all, please reach out for help. This week was honestly pretty good, considering, like, obviously Sam's still lying to Dean about not getting the deal, like, reversed, and Dean's, like, too comfy with his impending death and damnation. Honestly, like, they were kind of okay, considering. Like, those are just kind of constants in this season.
Yeah, the Winchesters were doing all right.
Yeah,
Katie's
we're at, like, a
mom needs some
baseline.
help,
Yeah, Katie's poor mom.
Katie's mom was devolving into madness, and it was almost like, and one thing you didn't mention when it came to changelings is like possible postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, and it reminds me of the Susan Smith case that they referenced because she had postpartum psychosis and she killed her children. So that was kind of a running theme going on, and as a parent, like as someone who has given birth to children and gone through those hormonal changes, like it definitely was very evocative to me. Like, just there were a lot of times in this episode where I was like, whoa, and it's not played for laughs and it's not glossed over, but it's definitely not focused on. But it's a lot of moments in this episode were very, very real to me and screamed some sort of like motherly hormonal.
I just felt so bad that, like, Katie's mom, like, never even really came into contact with the Winchesters, so, like, she just got no explanation about any of this.
Right.
Like,
yeah, this is just a hellacious day in her life, right? Like, she she wake up one day and their kid is weird, and then it burst into flame, and then all of a sudden it's fine.
Does she ever give any explanation for what happened?
Not on screen. Yeah, not at all.
I've decided that Lisa tells her.
The only thing you can think about is that missing time where it was clearly middle of the night when they rescued the kids, and it is sunny the next day when they find Lisa. So it's like maybe they went around and made explanations as to why these two parents didn't have their children.
But even then, all of a sudden, these 2 dudes will show up with your
child.
Like, some of them, like, you don't even know if they thought their kid was just sleeping. They're just like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
But then the kids are going to come back and they're going to be like, I was kept in a cage for a week.
Also, several of them, either their, like, other parent or their babysitters got murdered. So, like, they got kidnapped and someone that they loved died while they were gone.
And not only that, like, Katie's mom, like, she just, the whole putting the car into the water thing.
Yeah.
Like, driving the car, like, that whole thing. She went off the rails.
She murdered her child.
I think
she's going to have to live with that.
She needs an explanation because she needs to know that her actions were somewhat justified.
She's going to live with that for the rest of her life.
Do you think this is what actually happened at the McMartin preschool? Do you all know that case?
I do. I'm very familiar with it.
Sam and Dean show up and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, your children were changelings, and the kids come back and they're like, we were in cages, we were flushed down the toilet. And they're like, okay, whatever, freaks. Yeah.
I gotta look this up.
Oh my god, it's the satanic panic.
Yeah,
it's like in the 80s.
Okay.
That makes more sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more familiar with the daycare.
All these kids started saying like these weird stuff. They were like, we were flushed down a toilet into a secret room where we were abused, and everyone everyone's like, okay, but some people were believing them, and it's like one of the
big deal.
most expensive trials in history.
Yeah.
So basically Salem.
Yeah.
Basically. It reminds me so much of the daycare out in Salt Lake City. The weird green building with all the rumors.
Yeah, I took a course on like child forensic interviewing, and so we talked about those cases.
This is going to be the Cicero trial.
Yeah, honestly.
Where all the kids report being in cages, but there was no evidence of it.
Oh, it's wild.
Just bring them the cages.
Yeah.
They're probably still there.
They're still there.
Yeah, that was Ben's cage. This is my cage.
Someone's gonna move into they're gonna finish building the house, and someone's gonna live there, and all the kids in the neighborhood are gonna be like, that's the house with the cage. We had no soul transaction